Every year, thousands of amateur and professional filmmakers gather in various cities at different times, all around the place, and we participate in one of the most insane filmmaking events that we can possibly imagine and put ourselves through absolute hell and agony doing it. It's the 48-hour filmmaking contest, and we've got one coming up in New Zealand soon. Now, I've been making short films for over 20 years, and for 18 of those years I've been participating in 48-hour film contests. And they don't really get any easier, but you do learn some really cool tricks along the way that can help you out and make the entire process much more approachable and much more efficient, and give you a much better chance of coming up with something cool. Now, this is the first in a number of videos I'm going to be making covering a 48-hour filmmaking process. This one is going to be about the actual process itself and how it differs from general filmmaking. I've also got videos coming up on camera gear, audio, lighting, how to direct a film, and various other things, editing stuff, some really cool ways of doing special effects on the cheap, how to get some cool gear and where you can go and buy things from, and how you can make stuff when you can't afford to buy it, and sometimes when you just don't need to buy gear because you'll be amazed at what you've got just lying around. But anyway, let's get into today's one, which is having a look at the filmmaking process and how that differs from the 48-hour filmmaking process, which is quite cool. Okay, how do you make a normal feature film? Well, you write it, and then you go over some script revisions, then you create what's called a shooting script. That's, for those who don't know, where all of the ideal shots that you want through the film are put into the script, so it becomes a script not just for the actors, but for the camera people and the lighting people and the grip people and props and everything like that, and locations. And then you get a whole pile of people to go out and gather props and find actors and find costumes and food. Then you start looking into animatics and scheduling this whole behemoth of a production. And it's quite a while down the path till you actually start shooting. Then when you're shooting a feature film, you go and get all of your main shots. You get heaps of coverage shots, you get different things for different angles, and then you get a whole pile of extra cut-ins. While you're on the location, you might grab a few extra bits of script that you're not sure whether you're going to need. You might get some different camera moves so that you can edit in different ways later and make choices in the edit, and that's a really important thing when you're doing a feature film. I'll just point that out now, is giving yourself options in the edit for when you're really putting that final story together. Then you shoot all of this, and that can take a few months, and then you get into the edit room. You throw the script and the shooting script away, and you wrangle all of this footage that you've got together, you organize it into things, and then you build a new movie, a new story out of that, and you tell the best story you can with the footage that you've got. Then you might go shoot some pickups for one or two things that you need to fill in some gaps, or get different angles or establishing shots, and send out a second unit team or something like that. You get all of this edit together. Once you've got the edit done, you can start looking at music and special effects and CGI and all of these sorts of things. After you've got the edit done, you start doing all of this finish up and tidy work and really polishing the movie off, and that can take another 6 months. Strangely enough, we can't do that in a 48-hour film, so I've started some years ago working out a more efficient process, and basically it's turning that whole filmmaking process upside down. So instead of writing the film and then doing all these other things and then shooting it and then editing it at the end, I edit the film while I'm writing it, and this is something that has really helped me gain a lot more time at the end of the 48-hour process to polish the film and get a better edit out of it, and be able to create some music and have time to really do those nice things that tidy the whole thing up at the end. So when you're preparing your 48-hour film, now normally these competitions run from a Friday evening through till a Sunday evening, so on the Friday evening get your writing and your core production team together and start editing the film as you're writing it. So come up with a rough outline and then build the dialogue and actually write it as slugs into your NLE. That works a bit like this, where you just create a slug or a placeholder and you put a line of dialogue or a script into it or a description of a shot, and then you do your next one, your next one, and next one, and before you know it, you've got a 5-minute timeline completely built up of slugs. Now what you want to do is quickly record some audio. Now this doesn't have to be fantastic audio, it's just something that's going to give you an idea of pace for the film. Get it close as you can, but it doesn't have to be perfect. You're not worried about performance or intonation, just really timing. And then you can tweak the length of your clips around to fit into the timeline so that you know your dialogue fits and works and has the proper dramatic effect. And now within a couple of hours of starting the competition, you've got your edit done. So you might have that all finished up by midnight on the Friday, ready to get some sleep before you shoot the following day. And although a lot of teams like to shout a lot of bravado about I stayed awake the entire 48 hours, their last 24 hours was crap because they were completely wasted. Now, also during that edit, writing and storyboarding phase, which is effectively what you've done now, you can get a whole pile of other things already moving. You know your story, so you can get somebody out solidifying who your actors are. As you're writing, you might go, we need this prop, we need this sound, we need all of these things. So have somebody sitting with you when you're writing into the NLE saying, I need this, I need this, I need this, and they can go off and get people finding those things and getting the right actors and getting costumes and organising locations, getting props, getting all sorts of these things that you'll need for your film to shoot on Saturday. So when you finish your script, everything else is organised. You might even have a schedule organised already, and that's brilliant by just editing first instead of at the end. Now you get to the Saturday and you start shooting. You don't have to shoot more footage than you absolutely need. You know exactly which shots you need, which angles, and how long each clip needs to be. And you can shoot those clips perfectly and then send them back as you're shooting. So do 2 or 3 shots, do a few angles or a single scene or location, then send that SD card back to your editor. And he can start editing on Saturday morning instead of Sunday afternoon, like a lot of crews usually end up doing. So rush edit on Sunday, or Saturday night and Sunday. Now you can start your rough edit on Saturday as you're still shooting. So the footage can be put into the editor, just replacing the slugs that you put in when you were writing. You already know what length they're going to be, so you're not overshooting or undershooting. You're going to come out with something that's well paced because you already designed that. And by the time you get to the end of Saturday, you're still going to have 24 hours left to do tidy ups. And in that Saturday night and Sunday morning, you can do the soundtrack, you can do some special effects shots, you can look at some really fancy transitions. You've got time to go and get some cutaways if it helps tell the story a little bit better and make some better decisions if you want to. You've got time to do a great color grade, a good audio grade, all these sorts of things. Your shooting is far more efficient because you knew what you needed, and you can get your film shot so much faster and so much tidier and give yourself so much more breathing room. And as a director, you can go get some sleep while your editor's doing bits and pieces and you've got people doing soundtrack on Saturday evening, Sunday morning, so that you can come in and help get that final edit done and get it all nailed on the Sunday and have plenty of time to hand it in without getting a speeding ticket on the way to the hand-in point. Now, if you've got any comments or questions or your own experiences to add, please put them in the comment section below. That's really important. I read all of those and I get back to as many of them as I can. I've got a lot of other videos coming up about camera gear, grip gear, lighting, and just heaps of stuff. If you want anything in particular added to the list of films I'm already making, let me know down below. I will see that and respond to it. Don't forget to click here as well to subscribe so that you don't miss out on those videos, and hit that notify bell. Click all these other buttons down here because that really helps me out, and watch this video and this video, and keep an eye out for the next one of these, which will be coming really soon. Have a great day.